They dragged him out of his car, slammed him with false charges, and thought he'd just take it. Until he showed them exactly who they were dealing with. Yeah, I know how that sounds. But let me tell you, some stories only sound unbelievable until you're the one living them. Late one night in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, when the air was sticky and the streetlights blinked that tired yellow, I was driving home, just minding my own, you know? I'd just left dinner with some colleagues, laughing over bad takeout, thinking I might actually sleep easy for once. And then I saw those blue and red lights flash behind me. Classic. I wasn't speeding, hadn't missed a signal, nothing out of place, except maybe the fact that a black man in a nice car after dark in the wrong zip code is always enough. You know what I mean? So I pulled over, turned off the engine, rolled the window down, and grabbed my wallet, breathing slow. Two officers came up. One of them, Officer Driscoll, looked like he bench-pressed cars for fun, and the other, Kessler, was the wiry type, always scanning, twitchy. License and registration. The words snapped like ice. I handed over my stuff, calm as I could manage. Can I ask why I was stopped? I said, keeping my tone flat. Driscoll barely blinked, glancing over at his partner before lying. Your tail lights out. Which was funny, because I'd just had my car inspected that week. My rear view told me all my lights were on. But if you've ever been here, you know arguing logic is useless. I asked if he was sure. Driscoll's mouth twisted and he leaned in closer. Sir, step out of the vehicle. Now let me back up a sec. My job, my whole damn life, is about knowing my rights. I'm an assistant U.S. attorney. I know I don't have to step out unless they have probable cause. So I pushed back, said I'd like an explanation. Kessler smirked, his hand resting on his belt like he was just itching for something to go wrong. Because we said so. That's when the mood in the air shifted, the way it does right before a summer storm. Just a bad feeling crawling up your spine. I told them again, real steady, that I had the right to ask. That's when Driscoll lost his patience, yanked open my door, and grabbed me. I barely had a chance to breathe. Seatbelt cutting into my shoulder, Kessler wrenching my arm behind my back, cuffs digging in hard. You're resisting, Driscoll spat. Resisting what, gravity? Being black? It didn't matter. In those moments, you realize how fast you can go from citizen to suspect, no matter who you are. By the time they were done, I was face down on the hood of my own car. My pulse wasn't from fear, though not really. It was rage. I'd seen it before, this little power game, but they didn't know who I was, and that was about to change everything. Court was a whole different circus. East Baton Rouge Parish Courthouse, full of that tired, bureaucratic buzz. Papers shuffling, folks murmuring, the judge presiding like she'd rather be anywhere else. Judge Margaret Holloway, mid-60s, sharp eyes, reputation for being tough, which in Baton Rouge mostly meant not giving a damn who you were unless you were someone. Today, I wasn't the one up front in a suit. I was the defendant, charged with resisting arrest, obstruction, disorderly conduct. All fiction. But the way the prosecutor, Calloway, strutted up to the bench, you'd think he already had me convicted. Simple case, he told the judge, an individual escalating a routine stop. Yeah, okay. My lawyer, Thomas Rivera, did his best, objected to the lack of evidence, pointed out there was no body cam footage because, get this, the cameras weren't operational that night. Of course they weren't. Driscoll and Kessler took the stand with all the confidence of men who'd done this before and gotten away with it. He was combative, Driscoll said. We feared for our safety, Kessler added. Lies, all of it. I'd spent my career fighting against this exact corruption, and now I was living it. No body cam, no witnesses but them. Judge Holloway overruled every objection like she was flicking away flies. Then it was my turn. Rivera called me up. The courtroom, suddenly, was too small. I took a breath, looked at the jury, and decided, right then, I wasn't playing defense anymore. Before we go any further, I should probably disclose something. I reached into my briefcase. Rivera tensed up like he thought I'd lost it, and pulled out my badge. The whole place froze. I'm Jamal Winslow, I said, Assistant U.S. Attorney, Southern District. You could have heard a pin drop. Judge Holloway's eyes flicked up, Calloway turned pale, the officers stiffened like they'd seen a ghost. I held my badge up. That's what this says, doesn't it? And just like that, the room changed. Nobody wanted to be the one who took down a federal prosecutor for a fake crime, not with everyone watching. Calloway started fumbling, pretending he hadn't known. Judge Holloway actually looked nervous for once, probably running through all the headlines she could already see coming. And then I asked the court to pull the dispatch logs from that night. If those cops had radioed in, the lie about my tail light would fall apart. If they hadn't, they'd broken protocol from the start. Judge Holloway had no good options left. Deny my request, and she'd be burying evidence. Grant it, and she'd be burning the house down. She granted it. Driscoll exhaled, finally cracking. Kessler looked like he might bolt. But that was just the start, because there was a reporter in the back, a kid from the Baton Rouge Advocate, typing so fast I could hear the keys from the stand. By the next day, my face and story were everywhere. Federal prosecutor exposed corrupt officers in open court. Judge under fire for bias. Social media went nuts. Clips from inside the courtroom, arguments in the comments, calls for protests. But here's where the twist hit. This wasn't about me anymore. The real fallout started when an anonymous source leaked emails, old tickets, records of other black drivers pulled over and threatened for no reason. Community activists came out swinging. Rallies outside the courthouse, civil rights attorneys digging into Judge Holloway's cases, finding patterns, demanding answers. The department tried the usual distraction, announcing an internal investigation, but this time nobody was buying it. Lawsuits were filed. Calls for Holloway to step down got louder. Protesters kept showing up. And then, with the world watching, the Louisiana Attorney General's office took over the case. For a minute, the city held its breath. I remember sitting in my apartment when the press conference aired, phone buzzing with messages from strangers, people who'd been through the same thing, but never had a badge to flash. This was more than damage control. It was survival. By the time we got back to court, Judge Holloway had lost that bored look. The case was too big to bury. She hesitated, just for a second, then cleared her throat. After reviewing the evidence, the court finds the defendant not guilty. A wave of relief, sure, but I didn't celebrate. Not yet. She went further, forwarding everything to the state attorney's office for review. For once, the system was forced to turn on itself. The murmurs, gasps, reporters' keyboards clicking like hail on a tin roof. Yeah, this was a moment. But I couldn't stop thinking about everyone who never got their moment, the ones who sat in this courtroom and walked out with nothing but scars. As I left, cameras flashed, people cheered, but this wasn't about one man walking free. It was about the ones still stuck in the system, the ones still fighting, still hoping someone would believe them. My story is just a crack in the dam, proof that sometimes, when enough people watch, the truth gets out. But if you're listening, really listening, don't just nod and move on. Ask yourself, how many more? How many stories get swept under the rug? How many lives wrecked because nobody's looking? So, if you think justice means more than just headlines and hashtags, talk about this, share it, argue about it, demand more. Because the minute we all stop looking away, that's when change actually starts.